Hey, this is Tracy with Tracy Talks. Welcome. As I was getting ready for the day, I kept getting the message to maintain my fitness. And I don't know what part of the country you're in. The part I am in has sub-zero temps. We have snow, we have wind, we have unbelievable conditions. Pretty typical for the Midwest. But that disrupts my normal routine, which is to go walking, to make sure that I devote time every day to walking. There are those days where I don't feel like it, and then there's those days where the weather impacts me. And I easily just say, you know what, I'll pick it up tomorrow. I'll just not do it today or tomorrow or maybe the next day because this is supposed to continue for some time. That wasn't the message I got today. The message was figure it out. Figure a way to get some type of physical activity. Stop pushing off things. I mean, how easy is it and does it become to just say, you know what? I don't have to do that today. So much of how I get my intuition is from the messages that I get in my body. And it really feels like a time where I am getting feedback. I have to maintain this operating system, how I get my messages. I have to maintain, what am I putting in there? What type of sleep am I getting? And my physical activity is a very important part of that. So today, I just had to figure it out. I did things differently. I walked some time in the house. I walked in a circle. My animals were completely confused. They didn't understand what I was doing or why. And that's okay. If I had family members here, it would have just had to have been okay. Because how many times do we change our schedules when we have our significant other around? How many times do we do other things because somebody else is in our house, in our presence? And how many times do we change who we are and what we need based on who is around us, what environment we're in, and what we're doing? And today the message was, you need to do this, that it is important. I thought it was interesting too, is there is a big planetary shift next month. The planet of Neptune is moving into Aries for good. It had a little bit of a period in 2025. Neptune is the planet that represents fantasy, illusion, creativity in its highest form. People who have Neptune prominent in their charts oftentimes are very creative people, and they have the ability to escape into some fantasy world and can live there. Neptune has been in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces at its worst is known for escapism. How can I not see what's happening? Where can I go to hide away? Can I numb myself with alcohol, with food, shopping, anything? Anything really can numb us. So we've had the planet of Neptune in the sign of Pisces for the last several years. And so this was this heightened illusion and escapism. Like, what is all of this fantasy? And how can I just get lost in this fantasy? How good does it feel to pretend that everything's fine? Everything's fine. But as this shift is happening in the collective, and we see it. We see people starting to say, no, that's not what happened. That's not what's really happening. And when Neptune moves into Aries next month, what does that mean for me? And I've been looking at that part of me, of where have I not been truthful? Where have I wanted to hide away from the fantasy and the illusion? Where have I not wanted to see things as they are or show my fullest self? As someone who enjoys the spiritual side of me and who has the crystals, who has the Reiki training, the channeler, this intuitive side of myself, where have I been neatly keeping that in a space away from everyone else? And what does that mean? This message of me focusing on my fitness, my physical fitness. This isn't about being a specific size, a specific weight. This isn't about somebody else telling me what my body needs. This is me listening to my body and acting on that intuition. We all have our own messages. We don't have to go onto a website and read someone else's recommendations for basic health and well-being. I always get confused when we have so much out there online about just what we should eat. And sometimes I'm thoroughly confused when adults don't know that they should eat whole foods, that processed foods really aren't the best for our body, that we're not getting the nutrients, that we're not getting those things that we need. Do we really not know that? Or do we just not want to see that? And what happens if those illusions are taken away? And how that shows up in my life is, what if I fully embrace all of this spiritual side of me and I integrate that into every part of my life? There's a lot of people in my life who can't have those conversations. And what does that mean? If I am around people who cannot have conversations, who are willing to come into my world and be a part of this world, then where does that disillusion happen and fall away? And what is my responsibility? It is a good time to prepare for this shift. And part of that is these things that I have to have in my life that I know I need. I know when I do these things, they aren't good for me. And I have to say no. I have to resist. Our bodies give us so much information and so many messages. And we don't want to hear it. We don't want to see it. We want to just pretend that it's happening somewhere else and I don't have to deal with it. It seemed like a relevant message for me and knowing what is happening. I'm not always going to get the optimal situation. I'm not always going to get the conditions that I want. But how can I wake up every day? How can I do my spiritual tools? How can I just continue to be this balanced part of me, this mind, body, spirit? How can I continue to do the things that I know that I need to do? This week was a lot on my body. There was one day where I had an extremely bad headache. And a lot of times I don't walk around in the world with a lot of protection. I feel like I shouldn't have to armor up when I go out, but apparently I need to change that. There was one day where my head hurt really bad. And I have this necklace that I sometimes wear, and it's lapis. And this one was made by a friend, and it's a pretty hefty piece. I don't always wear it out a lot, but I have 3 different versions of these blue lapis beads. And to be honest, I put all 3 of them on. And this helps me and is a form of protection for me. It's a good idea for each of us to know what it is that we need. What can we do in our daily routine and ritual? What can we do to protect ourselves? And I've been wearing it ever since to help just keep all of the energies away from me, to keep everybody else's stuff away from me until I can sift through my own feelings. How can I be spiritually fit? How can I be physically fit? How can I be emotionally fit? I don't know. I'm curious to see what kind of changes each of us are going to feel. And it's always interesting when I talk to people who are in tune with the energy and what they're picking up on. It's important to maintain our schedules now. It's important to maintain our fitness. Be diligent about our basic needs that we need. Journaling, meditation, quiet time, eating healthy, getting some activity. All of these are important. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. And until next time, take care.